All right, guys, this is part two of the lesson. And again, we gotta make sure you watch these in order because otherwise they might not make sense to you guys. We're still looking at the original problem, right? From section 521. And this is 5-56. Now remember, I'm not actually going over that exact problem. I'm going through this problem because I changed the equation. But it's very similar to the other to the problem with the other equation. You can still use this again to help you guys go through um, this problem. Okay, so here we go, you guys. We're looking for points, right? Now, the reason I looked for a point was because I want to look for points on this graph. So if I just slide my cursor over it, you guys are going to get different values coming up. But I'm going to get as close as I can to basically some whole numbers here. Let's see, 5. Okay, so -5 and 0. Oh, y. Sorry, x is -5 and y is 0.031. And I'm gonna use these numbers because I need to create some. I need to figure out what points are part of this graph, right? So there's a point there. Let me get a little bit further along. Let me see if I could get to 2. 2 is -2. I'm sorry, -2 and 0.25. So let's go down here, and my x is -2, and my y was 0.25. Okay, so now I have another point that's on my graph, 3 points actually. And let's move on. Let's see, turn that one on. So let's move on. We have one here. What is it? 1 and 2, right? And let me see if I could just do one more point because I have 1 and 2. And let's see, 2. You have 2? Yeah, 2's there. And that's going to give you 2 and 4. Okay. And should I go with 3? All right, let's go with 3. Where's 3? Oops, I crossed them. There you go. 3 and 8. Okay. Here we go. We could keep going on, you guys. I keep going on and on and on. And, we'll keep going. Because if we really zoom out, you're going to see that this line keeps going on forever. So it's exponential, right? This is what we call an exponential function, or sometimes exponential growth. Very important word that's been happening lately. And it just shoots up like this. It goes starts kind of slow and then automatically it just blows up, right? And what I mean by blows up, it means it goes straight up. Okay, so we got some points, we got our graph. This is our exponential function. Awesome. Now the question is, how do we find the inverse? How do we find the inverse of this function? Now, if you guys remember from problems we had done before, inverse means the backwards function, right? So when we have a table with our points, remember to find the backwards function that means that I would plug in y and then it should give me x back. So I'm going backwards. So instead of plugging an x into my equation, right? Instead of plugging in one of these numbers, like x, if I plugged it if I plugged in 0 into my function here, it would give me 1. If I plugged in -5, it would give me this decimal, right? And so forth. This is how the function works, right? Anytime I plug in an x, I get a y back, okay? Now, the inverse function, the backwards function will go backwards, okay? So we don't know what the inverse function is for this, but what we can do is we can use the points that we created, okay? So let's do this. We're gonna add another table, okay? And I'm actually going to use the same values that I used before, okay? But we're going to go backwards. So instead of 0 and 1, I'm going to flip them, right? I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to have 1 and 0, right? I have -5 and 0.031. So I'm going to go 0.031 and -5. Oops, there we go. And then we're going to have 0.25 and -2. I'm flipping them, right? All right, here we go. Okay. All right. So do this, and we're gonna go on to the third video to finish this. I'm gonna finish it off the video, but you guys continue with this. Just flip every single point and see what you guys are getting. Okay. We'll come back in the third part.